While playing in those 5 years, in 2018, he hit a record low 168, which is the lowest batting average of any MLB player that has ever. The lowest batting average of anyone ever in that season. So he has the record low for batting average in the season in 2018, and in 2019 he had an 0 for 54 streak, which is the longest streak ever in baseball. So on a $23 million deal, the two records he broke was the lowest batting average and the longest no-hit streak.
All right, man. Thanks for your time. Walmer, lead us off.
All right. Well, this is a contract that in all ways made absolute no sense for either Dipietro or the franchise. Rick Dipietro was the first overall pick back in the 2000 NHL draft and expected to be the next big one of the many mistakes that GM Mike Milbury, one of the worst GMs in history, ever made. Before he even signed this contract, he was 58, 62, and 13, which stands for ties and overtime losses, with a .285 goals against average and a .900 save percentage. Compared to the times where the NHL was at a complete dead puck era where goals were scored at a premium, the best goaltenders in the NHL were right around a 2 goals against average, and average goaltender was a 220 goals against average. Those numbers are absolutely abysmal. And how do you award that play? By signing him to a 15-year. You don't do that. You're signing a goaltender to 15 years. And this is also to a goalie that has been dealing with hip injuries already twice in his career, back in the 2003-04 season. And after that, his 175 games over the next 7 seasons, which combined for 574 games, played parts of 2 full years in 2006 and 2007. And don't forget, they made the playoffs one year. He was nowhere to be found because he was injured. And the parts of the next 5 seasons, he was dealing with injuries that were knee injuries, concussions, groin issues, a broken jaw. And then eventually in 2013, he was waived and went unclaimed. And then eventually bought out, is now being owned $1.5 million until 2029.
All righty. Appreciate that, guys. Lou, you can unmute your mic. Go at it. Light them up. Let's hear your thoughts.
All right. Well, I need to quickly say this. Chris Davis, at the time he was given the contract, he absolutely deserved the contract. You can't say anything less than that. The guy already had over a 50-plus home run season. And the year after he earned the contract, he had 47 home runs. Why wouldn't you try and make sure
That's wrong. That's incorrect information.
2015. He
did not sign that year. That was the first season on that deal. He had 38 homers and hit .221.
Okay, you hit 38 home runs. Still, it's a really solid season. When do you want to lock up your best hitter like that?
2 years he played there with the Islanders in 06 and 07 season. So he had a decent save percentage his first 2 years.
But the goals against average was woeful. You're asking for a guy who you're paying to be your franchise goaltender for the next 15 seasons, to be that guy to backstop you to the playoffs.
$23 million per year. $23 million per year for a first baseman in baseball is, you're supposed to be a top 5 first baseman, and this guy broke 2 records of the lowest batting average you can ever have. 7-year, 161. He wasn't coming back after hip surgery. They restructured his deal. Now he's getting paid $2.8 million for till 2027. He's still getting paid by the Orioles another $2.8 million from 2023
but
to
this is the difference between the two contracts. Chris Davis was still a feared hitter in the MLB. He did hit 38 home runs that season and was paid a lot of money to be a feared hitter in the lineup.
You're talking about 1 year.
The Orioles couldn't foresee him falling off the way he did and then getting injured. I mean, Rick Dipietro, he was really bad his first few seasons in the NHL. He wasn't anything good. And then you're all of a sudden rewarding a guy who was injured quite a bit to go and play much better than he already did and still try and stay healthy. I mean, looking back at the guy in college, he was injured, an overhyped prospect that was his guy. Give him 15 years, let alone a guy who was only 24 when he signed this contract. You expect him to play till he was 39 years old? Do you know how ludicrous that is? Past the age of 37, alone make just a 39 on that contract.
Yeah, look, Dipietro is one of the worst hockey contracts ever. But at the end of the day, he was still just $4.5 million per year, while Chris Davis, on the other hand, got paid to be the best first baseman in baseball, and like I said, broke 2 records that should never be broken by for getting $23 million a year. Look, Dipietro's the worst hockey contract, but Davis is just so much worse. And Davis didn't get hurt. Davis was just awful. He was just flat out awful. He had 3 seasons where he hit under 200 for them in 18, 19, and 20, only hitting a combined 28 homers from 2018 to 2020 in 3 seasons, and averaged about a $140 at the dish. And this guy they were running him out there every day because they were paying him $23 million a year. He was the worst thing that could have happened.
You're talking about money here. You're talking about the money. You got to understand that hockey contracts are completely different than baseball contracts. You don't see players get paid $20 million to play hockey. You may, and nowadays you get paid $10 million, but $4.5 million annual average annual value for a hockey player for a goalie back in the year 2000s. That is a lot of money. No goaltender in that year and during his days got paid more than $6 million. Let me bring up some other names that got paid just around the same amount of money that were considerably better. Goaltenders that you would pay a good amount of money nowadays. Jose Theodore, who was on the back end of his prime, being paid $4.5 million. Tim Thomas, $5 million. Ryan Miller, one of the best American goaltenders that we've seen, being paid $2.6 million. Martin Brodeur, one of the greatest goaltenders we've ever seen, being paid only $700,000 more at $5.2 million. Roberto Luongo, the goaltender of the Islanders that they traded away to make room for Rick Dipietro, being paid $5.3 million. Pekka Rinne, $3.4 million. Cam Ward, $2.67 million. So you're looking at a considerable amount of money being paid to a goalie when NHL players don't make that much money. You're paying them a lot of money. And that's money that you'd be paying for a lot of top-tier goaltenders for the next 15 years.
Yeah, but the Islanders the Islanders at the end of the day still collected insurance money on him. He wasn't not out there because he wasn't playing well. He wasn't out there because he was just hurt, and then he just couldn't overcome his injuries. But the Orioles, on the other hand,
he was injured before he got the contract. He was dealing with injuries well before he was even paid that kind of money.
2 full seasons he played. So he wasn't injured. No, that's just false information.
He got injured in the 02-03 season and the 03-04 season. But that's not false information. He was injured in 03-04 or in 2003 or 2002-2003.
Yes, but you're saying he was hurt when he got the contract. That's incorrect. He was healthy.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he was hurt before the contract came. He already had his injury problems before he signed the contract. I never said he was injured when he signed the contract. But the fact
that's what I'm saying. He was healthy when he signed the contract. He played 2. But yeah, after that, it was absolutely awful. Chris Davis didn't get hurt. He was just absolutely awful. He didn't have anything going for them. You can't tell me you're going to pay a guy to hit 38 home runs, $23 million a year just to hit a 220. That's not worth $23 million a year. He was never even close to the top first baseman in baseball with that contract. He was never an all-star, nothing. And that's what the Orioles paid him to be, and he completely fell short. And that fell short's an understatement. He just absolutely flopped. I mean, it's a joke to have an over 54 streak and break the record for the lowest batting average ever in his.
Okay, it might be a joke, but you can't say that he didn't earn the contract. You want to know the stats of Rick Dipietro the year he signed the contract? He had actually a career worst, a .302 goals against average for playing in a full season. That's 3 goals per game. You see that nowadays, and you think the goaltenders are horrible. This was in a dead puck era. Goals were barely scored. They were barely scored, and you're paying this guy $4.5 million along with other guys that are considerably better. You can't give a guy 15 years for mediocrity play. At least Chris Davis did hit 53 homers this season. He had 47. He had
not
38.
Under that contract.
He's
though. We're talking about
hitter.
The contract. He did not do that under that contract.
Okay, but at least he earned it. Rick Dipietro never earned the contract, and he was never a guy that you would want to be on the ice for 15 more seasons. Chris Davis, yes, $23 million might be a bit much, but you want to pay a guy to keep him in Baltimore. His contract is up. You wanted to keep one of your most feared hitters in the lineup to help try and bring back playoffs to Baltimore.
Yes, but the debate isn't did the worst contract that was not earned. This is one of the worst contract in sports, and that does not matter what you did before it. It doesn't matter what happened before it. It doesn't matter. It's what you did during the time of that contract. And during the time of that contract, to pay somebody $161 million over 7 years to average 18 home runs and hit 180 is one of the worst contracts that you will ever see in history of any game, period.
Well, to even get that contract, you have to earn it. And that does come into contract. We talk about the worst contract in history because have to get that contract, you have to earn it. And to earn that contract, you have to play considerably well. The contract he got was at least earned. It might be really bad nowadays because now he's being paid $2.8 million. But for the contract at the time, it wasn't bad. You're looking at Rick Dipietro. That contract was never once going to be good for that team. It was never once considered to be a great contract. It was a downfall from the minute. This is an act out of cowardice by the Islanders. They were a team that were searching for something to save that franchise. They legit lost it when they traded away the goaltender that was supposed to be one of the best goaltenders in our generation, in Roberto Luongo. You're looking at the guy whose future was basically 15 years on a franchise that was never going to keep him because he was always injured. He was never putting up the stats to do it. He was not being able to be there on a daily basis to make sure the Islanders were a franchise team, a team that could be going to the playoffs year in, year out. He was never that guy. And $4.5 million to a goalie like him was going to be a complete downfall from the minute he signed it. And do you want to know when he signed it? You're looking at a team that was already in training camp. He wasn't even under contract yet. He was holding out for this money. And he was finally paid it, and he didn't even come through. He signed this contract on September 18th, 2000. This is well after the team has already made it to camp. He's sitting at home holding out until he gets the contract. He was not under a contract from any team. He was a restricted free agent. You can't be telling me that 15 years and $4.5 million is deserving of a goaltender who never put up stats that can say that he earned it and then have played well under it. The guy got bought out because he just couldn't stay healthy and couldn't put up the numbers that they wanted him to. He couldn't do it. He was never the goaltender that was going to save that franchise, and to pay him the money that they did and for the longevity, it was one of the worst contracts that you will ever see. You'll never see a goaltender get longer than 10 years. The last goalie that saw that was Carey Price, and he absolutely was thriving under that contract. Just because he couldn't make it to the playoffs just doesn't mean how bad of a goaltender he was. But look at Rick Dipietro. For 15 years, you never see a player get paid and to be on a team that long, and it was always doomed from the get-go. You will never see a player sign a contract that long ever again. And it was because of just how bad this contract worked out for the Islanders.
Yeah, look, it's the worst contract in hockey. I mean, it is, but in all of sports, it's just not. I mean, like I said, I could have gone with 3 people in this position. I went with Chris Davis because their performance was just absolutely disgusting over this deal. And you pay him to be a $23 million a year player, which means you better be hitting over 250 and you better be hitting over 35 home runs every single year. And it just flat out didn't happen. Ellsbury is another deal that I think is worse than Dipietro, and Bobby Bonilla too. Those 3 are all worse than Dipietro. But look, Dipietro's contract was bad, and you make a good case for that. He definitely was bad, but it's just not worse than Chris Davis. It's just not. He was absolutely disgustingly bad for years there, and the Orioles put all their eggs in his basket, completely flopped under that deal, and the Orioles haven't been anywhere ever since that deal.
We're going to go one more minute.
The Orioles
haven't really statements, guys.
How long do you say? How long?
We're going to go 1 minute and then go 2-minute closing statements for each of you.
You know, the Orioles were never really anywhere before that contract, and let's be real. The contract, yes, is abysmal. But at least he was able to play on that team. He was there being healthy. He wasn't like
he was better
being
off without
injured.
him being healthy. They were better off him being hurt and giving another guy a look. I mean, you're talking 168, 179, and 115, 2018, 19, and 20. You're telling me they couldn't have got any other person from their AAA more at-bats, more looks. I mean, it was worse that they had him healthy. They had an excuse to play him because he's making $23 million a year. They had to play him because they gave him that money. They'd probably been better off if he got hurt after his 2016 season and they just paid him the rest of the contract, over payments, like they're doing now, $2.8 million for the next 15 years Chris Davis is getting. So it's just, it's horrible.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to stop it right there. Wilmer, let's start us off here with our closing statements. We'll give you 2 minutes.
All right.
Time starts now.
Overall, this deal was just, it was one of the worst deals in hockey history, and it should be the worst deal of all time. Being honest, being real here, he was being paid the same amount, if not more, than a lot of the best goaltenders from the years that he played. He should have nowhere been near this contract. He never once earned the money. He was a goaltender that was well below average to be making money, to be playing longevity of 15 seasons. The 15 years, that is when he was 24 years old. He never once had a really good season. And then he was bought out 6 years later just because he couldn't play and just because he was just not a part of their future anymore. He couldn't stay healthy. He wasn't healthy even before he got the contract. And I think the one thing that needs to stay here is the fact that Rick Dipietro was the fill-in for Roberto Luongo. And this is an act out of cowardice by the Islanders franchise. They basically say that they were still sticking by him to show that they weren't making a mistake by trading him away and taking Rick Dipietro. This is an act out of cowardice. He never once deserved the money, did not deserve the years. This is a guy who should have been a career backup. And yet alone, he's being paid starter money, and he never once played like a starter because he was always hurt. And the one time he had a chance to go to the postseason, he was nowhere to be found because he was on the sidelines with another hip injury.
All righty, thank you for your time there, Wilmer. Lou, we'll give you your last 2 minutes.
Yeah, look, I'm going to keep it short because I basically said everything. But look, Dipietro, one of the worst hockey contracts of all time, no doubt about it. But Chris Davis is top 3 worst contracts in all of sports. It's ironic that all 3, I think, are baseball with Davis, Ellsbury, and Bonilla. Those are your top 3 worst. But I think Chris Davis here takes the cake just because, look, he was healthy, right? This guy was healthy. Jacoby Ellsbury wasn't healthy, and maybe if he was healthy, he would have lived up to his deal. But look, Chris Davis was healthy, played all 5 of the 7 years he played, and set the dude. I can't believe the dude set records on a $23 million a year deal to hit the lowest on anyone's ever hit and just go 0 for 54, and then he kept the ball after he got after he broke that streak. So yes, Rick DiPietro's contract was bad, probably the worst hockey contract, but Chris Davis it's just that much worse. And I still think, and Bobby Bonilla, I could have debated him. I was thinking about it, but look, it's just the fact that the Mets are paying him a ton of money later on in his contract. That's what's bad about it. But Chris Davis, for those 7 years, for him to play in 5 of them and do what he did is just
10 seconds, Lou.
The Orioles could sue him for theft in that deal.
All right, man. Thank you. We're going to have the poll go live here with David. One we can
and they didn't.
Last shot in before the bell. Oh, whoa. Poll's going live. We'll take a look at that.
I was going to, but I could still get it in that the Islanders at least collected insurance money.
50-50. Lou up 6, back to 50-50. We got 7 votes in. Getting close. 55 Wilmer. We have 9 votes in. We have 15 viewers. It's a close one, guys. Yeah, the live results are so good. 11 votes in. Still close. I can't call it there. So 4 more.
Oh, look, we have a voting link now.
Yeah, it's close. With only 4 more people to go, so I don't want to call it. Not voting as I didn't hear the debates. I appreciate that, August. I respect that. So we got 2 more then. So we got 64-35 Wilmer with 14 votes in. I'm going to call it there for Wilmer. Great debate, gentlemen. Great stuff. Thanks for coming on, guys.
GG,
with
Lou.
the job.
GG.
Real quick, get everyone out of here. Get all set up for the next one. All right, let me add him in. We appreciate you guys voting, too. Roman, I'll get you here in 1 sec. I haven't done it since the update, so it's kind of wonky doing the speaker stuff, but I got you. All right. Let me know if you guys get those invites if you don't get in. Pineapple on pizza,
I got the invite, Nelly.
Hey, I appreciate that. Roman, how we doing?
Doing
Isaiah,
great.
we all good?
Yeah, looks like we got both of us on here.
Okay. So, for the audience, this is going to be the MLS Commissioner Cup pick. All right. We're going to start with Isaiah. First time on, man. How you doing? How you feeling? You ready to go?
Yes, sir, Nelly.
You ready to bring the heat?
This bitch.
All right. That's all I
God.
All right. So we're going to start off with 2-minute opening statements for Isaiah. Your time starts now.
MLS Cup. So, what do we know about MLS? Well, it takes an entire team to win a championship. Well, relatively in any sport. And Philly, just off of that, and plus many other factors, has got that part covered. I'd love to start off with the midfield, which basically those are the people that can really dictate everything and can win you a game or lose you. Philly has that entire thing. They're one of the best midfield teams. All of their midfielders are very versatile. It all started back in 2015. They signed Alejandro, who a very in my opinion, and and then they got Leon Flock, who they've got last year. Great defensive midfielder / great two-way player. And then what else they've done well is they've really built up the young guys. So that way, not only can they save money on their players, all right, they can train them and have them be ready for any occasion. Y'all heard of Brendan Aronson, right? Well, guess what? His little brother is better than him when Brendan was his age. Let me tell you, Paxton Aronson is by far the most complete midfielder of any American MLS prospect.
You have 30 seconds left. If you like a little closing statement here in the opening. Or you want to give? You all done?
Oh shit! I thought you said time was done. My bad.
No, you're good. You still got 10 more seconds.
All right, 10 more seconds. Basically, the midfield dictates it all. Philly's got the best midfield in the entire league, and they've proven this time and time again that this is what can help them.
All right, man. Appreciate having you on. Roman, 2 minutes.
Yep.
Your time starts.
All right. So, right now we're talking about the Commissioner Cup, seeing which team's going to be the best team of the MLS. I mean, if we're really looking at it, if we look so far at this, you see one team that's really stood out over all the rest of them. You see Austin FC who stood out more than the rest of them. You have guys like Sebastian, Drew, or Musa or Gigi. Both of them are very solid guys. Their forwards have been some of the top of the entire MLS. They have the most goals in the MLS with 10. They've only given up 2 goals. They have an 8-goal differential in 3 games. They already have 6 points. They're top 5 in they're top 3 in their division. Their goalie Brett Sauber has been very solid this year. He's already had one clean. And then their defense. They even have defensive guys scoring the ball and getting assists because their team's just so complete that there really isn't anything else that they can do. They're not as young as Philly, yes, but they have the biggest advantage that really any team can have as a team itself, and that's experience.
30 seconds.
The team hasn't been around that long, but most of these guys are experienced guys in the MLS and know how to be competent, really good team, and that's why they're gonna be the team to win the Commissioner Cup this year.
All right, great job. Back and forth.
All right,
a little spicy right now.
All right,
light them up. Let's get it.
All right, line them up, light that ass up. All right, yo, I get it. Austin FC has all these goals right now.
Yeah.
Who they played though? They played one of my favorite teams.
Okay. They played Cincy, who's 10th in their division. They played Inter Miami, who has points. They've gotten points in their division, and they've played Portland, who is better than the team that tied against Philly and Minnesota. Who has Philly played other than Minnesota? They played the worst team in the East, Montreal, and they played probably the second. Then they played the second worst team in the West. They played San Jose. Those are the only two. Those are the teams they played. So you can't really go off of they didn't play anyone because both teams haven't. Because if you go off of that, then you can say that Philly hasn't played anyone really good either.
All right, let me backtrack there. Philly has actually played someone good before. Montreal is one of the better fringe teams in MLS.
Montreal has no points so far in the season. If you go off the standings, Montreal has 0 points on the season, and they've let up 2. They have a 6-goal differential. They've let up 8 goals, only scored 2 of them. They're not really that good if you think about it.
All
and
right,
if we go off of stats from just the entire league, you have in the top 3, you have in the top 5 for goals, you have Sebastian Drury, you have Celicio Dominguez, and you have Ethan Finley there. All three of them have helped the team. And also in assists you have Diego I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Fagundez. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, you have him there too. And you have Zan Kolomik, who's also been top 5 in assists.
All right. Question is, when is all that gonna dry up? When one player dips in form, and this is I know Man City ain't in the league, but this is what Man City does well. When one player dips in form, do the others fall with him?
No,
that's
the others won't fall with them.
Like, yes, they've scored all these goals, but I do have a friend who is from Austin, watches Austin FC, does YouTube content on them, and time after time, and I've even watched the games myself, this team has been known to dry up goals. I mean, last year, I believe 35 goals force, I believe it's what it's called. That was the worst in the entire league, even behind Cincinnati, who has always
if we go off of last year was their first year in the league. This year they've definitely picked it up a lot. They've gotten better guys, and they've had a whole lot better of a season so far. If you look at it, they've let up probably one of the least amount of goals in the entire year. The least amount of goals against for them the entire season.
All right. Since we want to talk about the attack, I might as well just talk about Philly. So Philly has had everything covered, and I know in the past years, in the attack, they got whatever strikers they got. This year, they've made a change. I do happen to like Miami, and I have seen Julian Carranza play multiple times for whatever he has. Yes, he's been injured before, but what I have seen, I have been impressed with. I liked him better than Gonzalo Higuain at that position. I have been clamoring for Julian Carranza to get more playing
very
time.
true. He's been a very good player, but he
is a real striker, unlike Shabilko. Now, I get it. Shabilko scored 12 goals last year, and that's still respectable. Gustavo Bou also had that.
Yeah.
However, Kasper Shabilko was known to be very, very, very inconsistent and did not really show up in the playoffs at all. And I know Miami has not made the playoffs, but can you really hold that against Julian Carranza being like, oh, he never shows up in the playoffs because he's never been there? And, I get that. I get it. You want to see someone in the playoffs just to see how much worth they really got. And then they went out and signed someone from the Danish league, Mikael Ure from the Danish league, who was lighting it up there from what I have heard from everyone else. All my Danish friends and all my friends that even pay attention to the Danish league, which is a very hard league to keep up with. Philly knows.
If we're going off this, we're not going off of who's better between Inter Miami and your other team and any of the other teams. We're going off of Philly and Austin.
Oh, I know we're going off Philly and Austin. I'm just playing in reference.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, just references because I've watched Julian Carranza so many times, and I've had the luxury of seeing him. And then I've had friends that know about Mikael Ure and have clamored really great things about him. And basically, I also happen to be a Rapids fan, and I know how much the power of a number 9 can take you in the playoffs. Because look at the Colorado Rapids. They had everything else lined up. Goalkeeper, very underrated. Defense, all sorted out. Heck, even the fullbacks were pretty great. Midfield, oh, they got that on lock. Especially Cohen Acosta and Mark-Anthony Kaye and Jack Price.
Yeah, but who they didn't have was strikers. They didn't have a good forward.
Let me get to that. They had the guys on the wing. Diego Rubio, yes, he is a winger, not a striker. He's a fake striker. Michael Barrios, Jonathan Lewis. The list goes on and on. Even Cole Bassett was playing in that role. The one guy they didn't have was a striker. And yes, I do love Dom Baji, but he is not what that team needed.
Yeah.
And they haven't corrected that. Philly went all out and corrected that. Julian Carranza, who they traded a lot of money for, just to even acquire his rights. And then Mikael Ure from the Danish league, also a DP.
Yeah, but if we go off of
Philly, Philly last year, let me tell you, Philly had these teams on lock. Nashville, everyone was clamoring about Nashville and how good they were. However, the draw merchants, it unfortunately ended there. And the one thing that really stood out, being dominated in the midfield. Nashville had no answers in the midfield. Philly just kept coming at them, closing down the space, taking the ball back, and controlling most of the possession, and actually did some with the possession, as possession stats can be very misleading. However, based on what Philly has done, you can give them the benefit of the doubt for holding most of the possession. Now, I know they played New York City and lost, but the one thing, and it was not COVID, the one thing that held them back was the lack of a real striker. As I said, Kasper Shabilko, fake-ass striker. He could not score goals to save his life.
Yeah, well, let me stop you right there.
Before I stop you there real quick, Roman, we're going to go 2 more minutes. Let's go crazy.
So. All right. Let me stop you right there real quick. If you're talking about Mikael Ure as one of your guys' big strikers, you signed him, you got him from the Danish league. Yes, he's only played in one game, and he was a sub, and he only got 2 shots, missed both of them, only had 1 on target, and it wasn't even that great of a shot. And then the other guy that you were talking about, Carranza has 1 assist and 4 shots, only 1 on target. See, you're talking about these guys being very good. You're talking about these guys being very good forwards. Yes, they might be very good forwards from the original leagues that they were in or the original teams. But on Philly right now, they're not playing that good. Only having a 25% shot on goal shot on target percentage and a 50% shot on target percentage as a and for Ure as a substitute only having 50% shot percentage, that's not that good. And if you look at the rest of your team, the best striker you guys probably have is Corey Burke from Jamaica. He's only played in two of your guys' games. Yes, he has 2 goals, but he still only has 50% shooting. And also, if we look at your games, Blake or Andre Blake has 2 goals against, but the difference between him and also the difference between Brad Sauver from Austin is that Brad Sauver, he's had a lot. If you've watched the games, Brad Sauver has been a lot better looking of a guy than the goalie for Philly has looked.
I'd actually argue they're the same caliber, in that there's really no difference between any of them. If anything, I'd have to give it to Andre Blake, who has consistently been the best MLS keeper in the entire league, with the exception of last year being to Matt Turner.
That hasn't been this year. And if we look at your guys' team, you also have people who lead in red cards and yellow cards, which is bad. That's something you don't want to have.
All right, but we got the depth for that. And plus,
you have the depth for it, yes. But the only issue is you can't keep having that happen, because the more yellow cards and red cards you're going to get, the more suspensions you're going to have for your players, and the less likely you're going to get points for scoring. You're going to get points for the conference, and you're going to get points for your table, and you're going to be able to get into the conversation and opportunity to even make it to the playoffs for the Commissioner Cup.
I'm going to call it there for the back and forth. Roman, you're going to go first. We'll give you guys 2 minutes on your closing statements. Be precise. Light them up. Mute your mic as well, Isaiah. Roman, your time starts now.
All right. So as I was saying, the issue that Philly United has is they have their players get a little scrappy, a little too much, and can cause some issues for their team where they lose guys due to yellows and red cards, which can hinder them a lot throughout the entire season. As for Austin FC, they have no guys leading in any category for yellow cards or red cards. They have guys leading in every category that you need. They have guys leading in clean sheets, guys leading in goals, guys leading in assists. Most of their guys who've scored for them have very good shot percentages. You have Sebastian Driussi. He's got 7 shots, but he's got 4 goals. He got 4 shots on target, and he has 3 goals. 3 of them are goals. He has a very good percentage shot on target, and also he has 3 goals to show for it, which means his stuff that he's doing, his shots that he's taking, it doesn't really matter how he's taking them. A lot of them are going in at a high rate. Also, if we're looking at another guy who's been really good for them, he's been a substitute each game, Ethan Finlay, and he's scored in each game. He's scored 2 goals in the 3 games that he's played. Same with Salicio Dominguez from Paraguay. He's been a very solid team. This team's midfield is probably one of the best in the MLS. And also, if you think of the team atmosphere around them, you have the Austin FC fans who've just been around for the first couple of years, because they've only been around for about 2 years, and they've still been one of the more solid teams. It's like the Vegas Golden Knights effect. You have a brand new team coming into the league. You have a brand new team coming into the league, and they just show off and do whatever and show off and become one of the better teams just by sheer of having good players.
Great job, Roman. Isaiah, your 2 minutes starts now.
Closing argument? Okay. Austin FC may be hot now, but just wait. Just wait a minute. Just wait until you get to the end of the season. As if you really know MLS, you know the real champions are not the ones that start off the hottest, but are the ones that can keep going when it comes to the end of the race. Philly, while it may not be looking too bright right now, even though they got 2 wins right now, they got the pieces, they got everything. Just give them some time. Give them some time to gel. Give them some time to find their form, and they'll be showing you why they made the Eastern Conference Finals last year and why they possibly could have beaten NYCFC last year had it not been for COVID. And then also, don't forget, Austin FC. I get Kip Keller's pretty good, but defense is not your strongest strong suit right there, buddy. And midfield, I'll give you that. And Driussi, yes, he is a very good striker. I love Driussi. He's one of my favorite players. However, Musa Jite, I still got questions about that dude. Yes, he may be scoring goals now. But you know who else did that? Gonzalo Higuain. Gonzalo motherfucking Higuain, bro. Bruh, don't even get me started with Jite. So yes, Driussi, you can have that one. Jite, I've seen that man. I don't know about that dude. And his one goal, lucky ass strike. It came off the goalkeeper's back. 15 seconds. All right, I'll take this one.
30.
Philly.
Now it's 25.
You got the most.
I said 30. You got 30 seconds. I'll count it from here.
Okay. Philly, most versatile team in the league. Got the depth, which is very important. As hey, you get in a tough situation, you need guys to come on, help you out. Philly's got that. And they got the young kids too, who do have the experience from last year, so they can take that this year, learn from their mistakes, and go translate that into an MLS Cup.
Thank you, guys. All right, David's got the poll linked in. Let your voice be heard. You can check out the real-time results as well. God, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Great back and forth there. Especially
thank you. It sucks that I'm considered one of the best soccer guys, even though I'm really not the greatest at following soccer, but I do follow a lot of MLS stuff.
Yeah, I knew you guys were on your shit. So we got 13 people here in the chat. Shout out everyone. How we doing? Let's take a look at the live polling results. I haven't checked yet. See how we're looking. Oh, something's going on. 1 second.
Only 5 people voted.
We have 5, so we still got a few more people here to vote. It's still too close to call. I'd like to at least get a decent majority. Very close. Philly Union, Austin FC, Isaiah taking the lead. Still only 6 participants. It is not over yet. Let your voice be heard. This is a democracy.
Yeah, I was stuck between 2, Austin FC and LA. Both of them probably would have had a really good chance here.
We'll let a few more votes trickle in here.
I'd be arguing for them.
Huh?
Still not out of it as well.
Oh, I know.
Because I would have picked my Rapids if they signed a striker, honestly.
The Rapids and a striker is something you'll never find again.
Hey, Giassi Zardes is up for trade. Who knows?
All right, we got Isaiah taking over 71%.
Who are they going to give him for?
We're going to call it there, boys.
Damn.
Isaiah, debut win. Way to come in hot.
Are you fucking serious right now?
I get it so unlucky with these. God.
Roman,
let me look
at it. Honestly, Roman, you brought your A game today, man. You did a really great job. Isaiah, great job.
Honestly, if it was anyone other than Isaiah, I probably could have won that.
Ooh, that's some respect for Isaiah. Now I'm going to kick you out of your chair there.
Oh. I'll see you on Cool 'em Down.
See you, man. We'll see you. We'll get it chopping up. All right. I am very excited for this last one. So we'll bring on our 2 guests. We'll let you know what we're looking at. 1 second. Okay. Bring them on here in the hot seat. Raw, what's going on?
How we doing? What's up, brother? How you doing?
Oh, I'm chilling. How we doing, guys?
Man, we doing good.
Since I know you guys are friendly, you guys want to debate who goes first?
Rock, my boy Rock could go first.
Okay. So for the people in the chat, last argument of the day, we're talking best NBA team of all time. Raw, you got 2 minutes. The floor is yours.
All right. Once again, appreciate you guys having us on. Shout out to the Ball Talks with Bush podcast. But if we're talking best in NBA history, it's got to be the 96 Bulls. It's got to be the 96 Bulls. The team went 72-10, if I believe I'm correct. Arguably, I don't know if it's much of an argument, they had the best player of all time at the peak of his power. Ultimate Robin, Scottie Pippen. Now, for this debate, I didn't know if we're in 82-game format, if we're looking at the best team in 82 games, if we're looking at a 1 game, like a Game 7 situation, or if it's a 7-game series. But either way, I'm going 96 Bulls. They have everything you need to win a basketball game. They had the best player of all time, Michael Jordan. They got Scottie Pippen, the ultimate neutralizer on defense, the original Swiss Army knife. He can do everything on the court. Ron Harper, a tough guard with long arms. Can check anybody from the 1 position to the 3 position. I gotta go the best team being the Bulls. I know the sexy pick is probably gonna be either the 2017 Warriors, maybe the 01 Lakers. I was gonna go with the 01 Lakers route, but I can't deny what MJ and Scottie did in 96 and how dominant that duo was for a long period of time. That was the 3rd three-peat. Like, that team was just something different, man. That's what I got.
All right, man. Lisa, you can hop on, man. If you guys want to clarify, so I can slow down real quick. Do we want to do in like a 7-game series head-to-head? Because I think that's calling audible here. I think that's the more interesting part of it, right? Like how they would fare against each other,
right?
Rather than just them on a piece of paper. Do you want to do it that way, or is that cool with you guys?
Yeah, we could do it that way.
Yeah, right, cool.
That works.
All right, I'll start you 2 minutes now.
All right. So I got the 2017 Warriors. I like them because, they got Steph Curry, obviously, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson. But the main thing about this team, they got a bench. Quinn Cook averaged 10 points on that bench. Nick Young averaged 7 points on that bench. And then they had guys like Kevon Looney. They had Jordan Bell, people were calling him a mini Draymond Green. Obviously, that doesn't hold true today because he's not under supervision. But they had a lot of veterans. But here's the best thing about that team: you cannot double anybody on that team. You got Steph Curry, you got Klay Thompson, and even as great as Scottie Pippen is, you're not guarding a guy that's shooting the ball 26 times. Like that's not happening. And even if you neutralize Kevin Durant, if Curry goes one-on-one, there's nobody on that team that can guard him. Granted, everybody's gonna say Ron Harper. What about all these other Jordan? What if Jordan went on him? Okay, so then you guard him. Then you guys got somebody like Klay. So it's like they have so many weapons to kill you. So it's like pick your poison. Um, I just like that Warriors team. They it's like their motto is strength in the numbers. They have they got so many weapons. They got Nick Young, they got Quinn Cook, they got Sean Livingston, they got Patrick McCaw, they got Jordan Bell. They even have, Zaza Cheap Shot Pachulia, They got David West, one of the best mid-range shooters ever. And then you got JaVale McGee who can play the big. So I like their versatility. So I got to go 2017 Warriors.
All right, thank you. So before we start, I want to run it by you guys. So we're going to do it in like a 7-game series versus each other. What rules we playing by? We got 2 different eras here, just so we keep it clean.
I was going.
Keep communication open.
We go with today's rules.
So we got 2017. We got 2017 versus 96.
Rules.
So it splits what 2004, 2005. I don't know. We doing hand checking? I need to know now.
Listen,
no hand checking. No hand checking. No hand checking.
Can we get in the chat real quick?
We're hand checking, and Curry's gonna get shut
Let's
down.
Get in the chat real quick. Let's get in the chat.
Yeah, I agree, Buck.
Call
I
it.
agree. That's
Call
why
it, chat.
no hand checking. There's no hand checking. No hand checking.
No, we doing no hand checking.
Hand check, bro. It's over for the Warriors. That's all. That's the only difference. We can talk about the 3 seconds
Listen,
of the paint
I'm
rule.
telling y'all this right now. I'll tell everybody that's in this chat right now. If it's a Game 7, no hand checking, today's rules, where you can't even touch these players, there's no way in hell.
Still living at the free throw line, bro. Jordan's still gonna live at the free throw line. He's gonna live there, bro.
You're right. I'm not debating. I'm not disputing that. Jordan's gonna probably average 30 plus in that series. But here's the difference: the Warriors have enough people to contain Scottie Pippen to not really do much. He might average 13. Kevin Durant can guard him.
No, he can't, bro.
He's too strong.
He don't have enough bricks in his pockets.
And even if you don't want to put him on him, you can put Klay on him. There's so many people you can put on them. And the best part about the Warriors team, you cannot double them. You cannot double not one. And if we're playing against today's rules, you're gonna foul Steph Curry a lot.
All right, I got a final ruling here. See if you guys do agree to this. Okay, 7-game series, right? So whenever they're at home, they play by their era's rules. So Bulls are at home. 90s, we have hand checking. We're in Warriors, soft, no hand check.
So
Game 7.
I'm not mad at that. And check this out.
Okay.
The Bulls would have the home court advantage. The 2017 Warriors, they didn't win.
They didn't win as many games.
Yeah, they didn't win as many games. So that would be 4 games in Chicago.
Yes.
Chicago going against bro, putting his mitts on Steph. And if we want to keep it a bean, and if we want to go somewhere else with it,
right,
still hasn't shown up all the way. He hasn't won the Finals MVP. I'm going to take the guy who won 6 Finals MVPs, bro. He won 6 of them. MJ has the ability to take over a game, unlike anything we've ever seen.
I agree.
KD is KD. There's no stopping KD. I'll give you that. There's no stopping KD. Scottie Pippen will be the toughest defender KD would ever face, though. I'm willing to bet my life on that.
Now, I
how
agree.
Smart he is,
I agree, but when you got the best scorer of, arguably of all time, and then you got a guy like Kevin Durant who's going to take 26 shots, and he will not be getting doubles because you can't double Kevin Durant. It's really hard to say Scottie Pippen is going to hold him for a whole game. It's Kevin Durant. He's one of the most efficient scorers of all time. You saw what Kyrie Irving did last night. Kevin Durant could do that too. He can get you 30. He can get you 30 on 16 shots. He can get you 30 maybe on 13 shots. He's that good of a basketball player. So it's like you're saying Jordan and Durant, in my opinion, cancel each other out. So it's basically saying who else is going to kill.
Rodman.
I just think Steph Curry's ability. I just think Steph Curry's ability just to shoot out there. They're not used to that. They're really just not used to that. So it's like I think it's going to be to their advantage. And if we're playing today's society and you can't hand check, like, come on, who's stopping Curry? Let's be real.
Phil Jackson. How about that? Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson he's a brilliant mind. He's a brilliant mind.
One of the best basketball minds we've ever seen. I think he outcoaches Steve Kerr, who's on that damn 96 team.
Okay. Listen, Bucks, Bucks, I am
gonna outcoach Steve Kerr, bro. They probably Denver taught Steve Kerr.
Wait, I got a quick question. Is Steve Kerr the same person on both? Like, is it a clone of Steve Kerr? How does this work? Is it alternate universe Steve Kerr?
It's a clone.
Okay. Yeah, it's a clone. It's the metaverse Steve Kerr.
Yeah,
it's the metaverse
I'll give you this. I'll give you this. Listen, man. I'll give you this. Like the coaching, he will get out coached. I give you that. But it's just a thing where it's like if you can't double a guy like Kevin Durant, you're gonna really have a tough night. You saw it in the Milwaukee series.
Tony Kukoc. Yeah, shout out to Prince in the chat. I forgot about Tony Kukoc, bro. Tony. You want to talk about bench?
Like that.
You want to talk about bench units, bro? Tony Kukoc is a beast, bro. He come on.
He's tough. He's tough. I give you, he's tough. But it's like you got to remember this too. I'm not saying Sean Livingston is on this style. I'm not saying that at all. But let's be real. You know what he does, Mr. Contested Mid-Range himself. He plays defense too.
So hear me out. If the Bulls tried out this unit, almost like their death unit, with Ron Harper at the 1, he stands 6'5", 6'6", very long arm. MJ at the 2, Scotty at the 3, Kukoc at the 4, Dennis Rodman at the 5. That cancels small ball theory, maybe, if when they run that small ball death unit. That unit I just named can guard, they can switch, they're long. Kukoc adds some shooting to that unit. Of course, they're not going to be able to. 3 is always going to be worth more than 2. But that's why I feel as though MJ is MJ, and who's Curry going to guard? That's my next question. Who will Steph Curry guard in that lineup?
Listen, you go to a lot of Warrior games like I do. Curry guards the player that is not the best player, so he will probably guard Ron Harper. But I will say this: you
will take Curry on the block, bro.
Now, but I will propose this to you. Okay, so you gave me that lineup. Now, how are they going to stop Klay Thompson? You gave me they're going to stop Kevin Durant, they're going to stop Curry, they're going to neutralize. Tell me what's the game plan for Klay Thompson? Can you tell me that?
There's no game plan for Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is the ultimate X factor. I think Draymond Green will be rendered useless. I honestly do. I think
I wouldn't say
Rodman.
that.
I think Dennis Rodman.
I
mean, he's good, but hear me out now. If
all right, let me
we're
hear you.
still handling as point Draymond, he's not doing all that dribbling shit, or he's not doing none of that in front of Rodman's face, bro. He's not gonna play crazy in front of Rodman's face or Scotty's face. They're gonna pluck him. So, but like you said, Klay, I got to give you that. I concede that point. There's no stopping Klay Thompson. He's the ultimate X factor. If he wants to go get 60 and he's feeling hot enough, there's not much you can do. I mean, Jordan, he's gonna be looking at Michael Jordan, so he might be intimidated. I think what we can't calculate is the mental side of the game, and
that is true.
I have a quick piece of info I need to throw by real quick. This was brought to my attention in a DM. Now, I don't want to sway the debates either way, but I have to bring it out there to just transparency. Yeah. And we got to remember, in 1996, the 3-point line was a 1.5 foot shorter all around.
Right.
They experimented for 3 seasons, for the people that don't know. So when the Bulls are at home, it's a shorter 3-point line as well. Someone DM me that. I just got to put that out there so we're all aware.
Hey, that's a good point. That's a good point, bro. But defense, I'm still going with the defense. If they're at home, like the 3 points shorter, and we can still hand check, Curry not going to get past half court, bro.
That's why I agree. I agree with you. If they get to hand check and they get to put their hands on Curry, it's going to be a long after, including Kevin Durant too. But if it's today's rules where you can't touch these players, because if you touch them, even if you sneeze on these players, they're just going to call foul. Kevin Durant will live at that line. So will Michael Jordan. But here's my question to you: who on that team is going to be a bigger X factor than Klay Thompson? I just don't see it. I just don't see somebody that's going to step up, because you were talking about Steph Curry doesn't show up, but you know who does show up? It's Klay Thompson. You saw what he did. You saw what he did in OKC, where they were literally on their last legs, and he just came out 3 after 3 after 3. Tell me one person on that team that will have the same equivalent impact as Klay Thompson, because we know he's going to show up. That's one thing he does.
Listen, like I was saying, the mental part of the game is something we can't calculate. Yes, from what we've seen, all evidence, Klay Thompson shows up when it matters most.
Right.
But if he's staring at me in red, bro, and he's got to guard him too, you know how much that's going to take out of Klay's legs on the court?
Listen, that's hard.
MJ,
that's
bro,
tough.
MJ.
That's tough. I mean, I'm not saying Kobe's on MJ's level. Rest in peace, Kobe. But he's played against a guy similar to that. So I think he would have some type of experience. I'm not saying he can guard him, but one thing about Klay Thompson, he doesn't step from no challenge. He plays against LeBron James in countless finals. And to play LeBron James, I'm not saying he's on MJ's stature, but he's damn near close. So I don't think Klay Thompson would be as afraid of the big moment, because he's shown up in these games against LeBron James. Granted, he had the better team more times than not. So I see where you're going with that, the mental part, because that's something that can't be tested. It's an eye test type of thing. So I agree.
Do you guys think it would be weird if these young dudes had to go play against Michael Jordan for real though?
Bro, they would be shook, bro. I mean, of course we can't. If they know what they know now about him, and he's it's a time machine, MJ, they would be shook, bro. There's no way.
No way, bro. If people were scared of Kobe already, just imagine what you're going to hear with Jordan. Because the stories that I've heard, Jordan's told, Muggsy Bogues, you midget, shoot it, and he bricks.
Cutthroat, bro. He's cutthroat. He's cutthroat.
Yeah, that's a guy you don't want to see on the court. He's an animal. He doesn't like you. He's looking to embarrass you, and he's laughing at you. And it is very intimidating. But if there's one person I know on that Warriors team that would not be scared and is up for the challenge, it's Klay Thompson. And Kevin Durant, too. Kevin Durant's a gamer, man. He'll ball anywhere. So I think if they were to have a series, I think it'd go really – I know MJ doesn't know a lot about 7 games, but I think it'd go to 7. And I think ultimately – it's going to go down to the last possession. I think Kevin Durant's going to end that. He's going to end it, because that's something he does. I can't, if there's one person I know, granted, I haven't got to see Michael Jordan. Obviously, we all haven't really got to see him. But from what I've seen from Kevin Durant, you give him the squad, he's going to deliver.
All right, before we go to our closing statements, I want to throw one more thing your guys' way. Who takes the last shot for each team? 2 or 3, or what's the shot?
Durant, for sure.
MJ,
Durant.
Free throw line, MJ. He's gonna get to his spot, rise up, cash.
Durant, stare down 3. LeBron would know a lot about that. He would know a lot about that.
All right, we'll start with our closing statements here, Rob. We'll have you go first as well. We'll give you your 2 minutes. Let us know why your team is the winner.
All right, bro. Listen, this is the point I'm going to hammer home to you guys in the chat. The mental part of the game. Of course, it can't be quantified because we haven't seen these 2 teams ever face off against each other. But if we go back to think, the 2017 Warriors, they faced no resistance. There was no resistance across the league. Once the news dropped that KD was taking his talents to the Warriors, everyone else in the league, damn near, besides LeBron, just laid it down. They laid it down. They said, oh, well, there's no chance. This is a simulation. This shit's broken. No one's going to have a chance. So my main point is, what does that team look like with some adversity, with some not even including injury, because we've seen what that happened to them with Toronto and all that.
Yeah.
Fully healthy. Let's see what they do with some real adversity in their face, getting punched in the mouth by a physical Bulls team led by MJ, anchored by Dennis Rodman, who we haven't talked about enough in this debate. That's my fault. But I don't know, man. I think the Bulls, just on the mental side, I feel like the talent matches up evenly, in my opinion.
Right,
Because
I agree.
I'm not completely sold on Curry in the finals, especially if we play the '90s rules.
Right.
But if we're going in a 7-game series, putting my money on MJ to be mentally tougher than everyone on the court, be in better shape than everyone on the court, and I got Scotty riding with him, bro. It's hard for me to go against that duo. Facts.
What's the series? Who you said your team wins? What's we on 4-3? Sweep? What are we thinking?
Bucks, you better not say sweep.
No,
bro.
It's 4-3, bro. I ain't gonna do that.
Okay.
It's 4-3.
Okay, that's respectful.
I was gonna say it might be over in 6 games, depending on how MJ's feeling. But
all right,
it'll go 7.
Lisa, it's your time. 2 minutes.
Right.
I'll start it now.
All right. Bucks, I'm sorry to inform you. The Warriors will win in 7 games. Although I know you're probably gonna say Jordan doesn't go there. He's gonna close it out in 6. The one thing that we all know is, if you look at the history, Klay Thompson is a very great Game 6 type of guy. So even if they were down, let's just say 3-2, I know Klay would show up that game. And for all that it's worth, you said that Steph Curry hasn't showed up, but here's the thing. He's not going to get doubled as he always does. In those finals, he's getting doubled, sometimes tripled. He won't have to do that. And he's going to start extending that range. And once you start extending it, you start to double and you start to overcompensate. So I think the Warriors would just beat them simply just because you can't double any of them. And I just think that even if Kevin Durant doesn't get his, Klay Thompson will get his. And if Klay Thompson doesn't get Steph Curry, it's just too much talent. So I think I would go with the Warriors slightly, 4-3, but it would be a very good Game 7. I think it would be, let's just say, they would win by 4.
Ooh, that's a good take there. All right, Dave, if you want to drop that poll, we'll get it going in the chat here. Just to get you guys, we're doing cool 'em down after this. If you guys want to hop on and talk after that.
Yes, sir.
Who would be third in your guys' opinion? Who's the third team? So these are 1-2, I think, for most people. Is it the 0-1 Lakers?
0-1 Lakers for me.
Yeah. I would have to. You at that point, you have to go 0-1 Lakers. I don't see how you don't choose.
I think if we're just doing a one game, maybe even just one game, bro. I got to take the 0-1 Lakers over everyone. Because who's stopping Shaq? Who's stopping Shaq, bro? That's just we talk about X factors. I don't see too many people out there stopping Shaq.
I mean, Bucks is right. I mean, Shaq is averaging 29 points on that team at 28 years old.
Poll is live, everyone. If you want to throw your votes down, too.
Kobe's averaging.
And Wallace is stopping.
How are you stopping Shaq? That is so true. 13 rebounds a game, 29 points a game.
I think the young guys seeing Jordan, like, oh shit, we're playing against Jordan, is canceled out by them seeing Steph shooting half court the first time.
That's what I'm
saying. They're like, what the fuck was that?
I agree.
I think those cancel each other out.
I love that you brought that up because they haven't seen something before like that. That's the thing. I agree that we haven't seen somebody like MJ. He's amazing. But we haven't seen something like Steph either, too. No. And this time, he's not going to be double-teamed. So you're going to have to play him one-on-one. And you know what Steph does. 5 votes in, boys.
Still got a lot of viewers left if you guys are making up your mind still as well. It's still too close to call. I don't want to call it yet. Keep voting, exactly.
Yeah, keep voting, y'all.
I think it's interesting is how you do a 1-to-1, like in what era, right? What are the rules?
I love what you said, especially about what era, because it's like the era really does play a factor. Because as Bucks alluded to, if you get to put your hands on Steph Curry, then you know it's going to be it's over. Because you see it today in today's game, they try to put their hands on him, and it's just foul after foul. And I'm not going to say the league is watered down and stuff like that, because I feel like that's what all the old heads say and stuff like that. It's a
4-3 Bucks right now on votes. Still too close to call. Still way too close to call.
Hey, man. Listen, I just appreciate, everybody that came out here, man. That's all I can say, man. And I'm glad you guys had us on here because, we love talking sports. And
we'll give them another 30 seconds before we call it. It's still too close. Got to count it down.
All right.
We'll keep it going. I think this would be such a fun game to watch too.
Shout out PNR Sports. He said this was a great debate, bro. Shout out to PNR Sports, bro.
Shout out to everyone who's definitely in the chat and who's watching us. Facts.
Raw, you jumped up to 62% of the vote. We'll call it there then. Great vote, guys. Great debate. Love to hear it. About to go live with Stone on Cool 'em Down if you guys want to chop it up a little bit more. I'd like to delve in a few other teams here. So I got some takes I got to give. But great job, guys. Seriously, that was really interesting. Thanks for hopping in, tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
Good shit.
Good shit, bro.